What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with your host, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him, and I'm joined by my NFL guru, esteemed NFL general assignment reporter, Chris Franklin. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, doing well, man. How about yourself?
Good, good. Life is good. Happy holidays to you, man. We had one on my dissertation before we started, so I can jump right into it now.
It's
And we,
you
you
good.
know, we said it was a slow NFL week as far as news is concerned. It wasn't really much that was worth discussing or worth kind of delving into. So we're going to do kind of a introspective view. And one of the teams I'm very interested in because their season ended kind of say in week two were the New York Giants. They're a bad football team, but for some reason I don't get dumpster fire feel off of them. I get a team that is kind of confused, lost, and doesn't have the talent to compete. What say you?
I think there's a lot going on with that team. It's really bad to the sense that I think they might even mess up this take that they're the position they're in right now.
Mm.
I look at Joe Shane and the job he did, and the worst thing that happened to them, which was great for us, but the worst thing that happened was the hard knocks behind the season. And you got to see pretty much how the sausage was made and what decisions, how he did it, and how he tried to explain it. And it's basically all just blew up in his face, saying, we don't need Saquon, Devin Singletary can take over for him. Well, we don't need to do this. Even to the point where they put their draft board was on there, what they thought about certain guys and if they're injured and not. And it's like, you guys have final say on this, and you can't even do that, the little details right. And then you want that
Yeah.
to trickle down to your head coach, Brian Dable. Dable, say what you want about the offense, say what about Daniel Jones leaving, what have you. This has been bad. There's no offense. His specialty is offense. The offense is not clicking. Now, you can say, and the one thing I would look at the Giants and say, you know what? They had okay wide receivers.
Mm.
And even if you need to put Daniel Jones in a better position to throw the ball, that's on coaching to me. The defense has held its own, all right. They don't have the secondary, which is more on Joe Shane. And so I look at the point where it's trickled down and it's gotten so bad. People are flying banners over MetLife Stadium to the point that everybody else has been. My colleague Ryan Novoziski, we would find a story about this. He told me people are spending $1,500 to fly a banner to embarrass John Marr, the Giants owner. And it's getting to the point where nobody's showing up to games. Game tickets are $1 now. So you can get a group rate to an NFL game for $13, the same price as a beer costs at that stadium.
That is
That's how
awesome.
bad it is.
Well, it's
It's
bad
if
but if you just want to take the
if
kids
you're
out for a game and let them, that's awesome. I'm sorry. Sorry, what was your
yeah,
point? Go
oh
ahead.
yeah. No, I was saying, yeah, the Ravens fans were loving that. They're like, wait, we don't have to play like the Ravens and stuff. Yeah, we're going
Exactly.
we're
That's what I
going
said. That is
95.
awesome to me. That is
So
all.
it's
Let me tell
so
you something, dude. Taking the family to a game can be pricey. So if you're talking about $1 ticket, I can take because the kids don't watch the game; they just run around. So it's a great, and you get to see
yeah.
some of the top athletes. But go ahead. I know that wasn't your point, but man, that is awesome. If I was
Oh,
home, I would.
it's perfect. It's like
Yeah.
literally if you just wait a half hour before the game, even before the game, you can still find a cheap one. Wait a half hour before the game. You're probably sitting in the top row, but you could probably walk down and get a seat, and they'll think it because it looks like somebody's actually there to watch them.
Yeah.
So Mara sees all this stuff.
Mhm.
You can't keep both guys. They have to make some changes. They clean house. I'm sorry. Shane's ineptity. It's got to the point when you look at the draft picks itself. Malik Neighbors is the best draft pick he made. Gettleman did a better job, at least assembling talent, because Dexter
Mm,
Lawrence wasn't his,
interesting.
and with all that stuff. So, yeah, they clean house. And the problem is you don't trust Mara to get the right guy because you look at Dable, you look at Shane, you look at Gettleman, and Joe Judge. All those guys don't really didn't have a good track record when they were up there. So unless they wanted to just get Tom Coughlin to find a way to come back up there, they're in trouble.
Well, all right, because Coughlin was in Jacksonville. He didn't leave. He didn't retire from the Giants. Didn't he go do some work in Jacksonville? It's not like
Yeah,
Jacksonville
yeah,
setting the world on fire either. But
yeah.
I get the point. When I look at the New York Giants, obviously the first team sees a 2-12 football team. And you see a team that doesn't compete at times. You see a team that more than anything is voided of talent. They don't have talent. And you mentioned Gettleman. Gettleman drafted, I want to call him Dave Brown, but I know his name's not Dave Brown. But Gettleman drafted Dave Brown 2.0. Gettleman botched the Malik. Oh, Jesus, come on, man. Gettleman botched the Odell Beckham situation. Gettleman botched the say he drafted Saquon. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is Gettleman was a guy that, while he may have done a good job getting talent, he had a longer time to do it. He seemed to not have a feel for drafting good, I don't want to say good team players, but players that can succeed in their roles. Not role players, but players that could be great in their roles. The new general manager, the first thing he walks into is a hard knocks fiasco. Saquon leaves and is, in my opinion, the MVP of the NFL in Philadelphia. And it makes things look a lot worse than what they are. I feel like you have to give this guy time. I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but you got to give him time. There's no talent in New York. Who do you keep? Because that was the rundown question. Who do you keep? Who stays? Who goes? Everybody goes. Everybody goes. I don't think Neighbors is a world beater at wide receiver. He's a good player. But, outside of Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, that's it. I can't think of a wide receiver that could impact a team and lead a team to a championship. Randy Moss had the talent, didn't do it. Terrell Owens blew up locker rooms. The only one who could impact a team and lead a team maybe would be Jerry Rice. So a first round pick on a wide receiver, I kind of feel like is wasted if you don't have a quarterback. So they make the pick, hoping the quarterback develops, doesn't develop. So now they need what? A quarterback. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is supposed to be a quarterback rich draft, right?
Oh,
Okay. So
no.
so the talent, the point I said that for a reason. Take it to bring here. So the talent still may not be there next year, but do they have a plan? And it seems like I've ran all around. It seems like they have a plan to destroy everything and break everything down. Everyone goes, and while it didn't play out well on the cameras, they executed the plan well. Why are we re-signing Saquon Barkley? Like, what is if you add Saquon Barkley to the Giants? How many more games you win? Maybe one, maybe one and a half. It's not changing it. It's not drastically altering the direction of the franchise. You need to gut that entire roster. So I have no problem with the plan, or I have no problem with the plan, and I have very little. I don't take umbrage with the execution. The description of the plan or the way the plan is being shared with the world, it could be better, but that's a cosmetic issue. I don't have any problem with that. I actually think in 3 years the Giants will be a good football team. Now, if you're a fan of the Giants, you don't want to hear that crap. But when the Eagles had before they had Carson Wentz and they were headed down in the toilet, if someone told me in 3 years they would win a Super Bowl, I'd take it. 3 years they would be competing with a Super Bowl, I'd take it. So I think Giants fans need to give a little bit more time to this. And the Saquon Barkley looks bad right now. He wasn't gonna make a hill of beans difference for you. He's on a better team, better team, better team, better teammates, better at culture. So that's gonna play out well. I don't I'll give you the last word on it. You look at a team like Chicago, where expectations were sky high, and they've lost. I didn't even finish. You started laughing. They've lost like their coach off it. You know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
had a quarterback. There were people out there that I respect that were saying they're going to be a Super Bowl pick. So, with that said, the Giants don't have any expectations. Everyone knows there's no quarterback in this draft. I'm not going to bash Shador. He ain't the answer, especially in New York. If you want to waste your money flying banners, go right ahead. But let me pull my sleeves up, let me lace my Timbs up, and let me dig into this. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be a lot of dirt everywhere, and there's gonna be clothes everywhere, and things are gonna be out of order. But once I'm finished building, you'll have an immaculate vision. Just give me a chance. What is it? Um, it's always darkest before the storm. Metamorphosis. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. So metamorphosis. And it's metamorphosis is painful. It's ugly. It's. I'm sick of the out of the segment, but I'll get the last segment to. I'll get the last word to you. If you were running the Giants, what would you want? What would you have wanted this year to look like?
This year, I would have wanted at least a 7 or 8 win team. I think the
Oh,
defense was, I would have
oh,
wanted it because I look at the defense. That defense was before all the injuries and heading into the season. That defense was actually legit, and you had the right guy, Shane Bowen, the former defensive coordinator for the Titans. You had the right guy running it, and I still think you do because you early on, you look at the way that they were playing the Ravens in that game. They were doing all right. It's when they started seeing the depth and the talent that this team has accumulated over the last couple of years in the secondary, and you're not signing Dory Jackson, re-signing Dory Jackson, what have you. You had nobody back there. So yeah, that defensive front's really good. You just need somebody to cover on the back end. That's why I look at Joe Shane on that. And offensively, if you kept Daniel Jones, if you played to his strengths, which I
Dave
know
Brown?
are not that much,
You
yeah,
mean Dave Brown?
yeah, it's not that much. But the way the system, I think for him, the best thing that ever happened is he went to the Vikings because he belongs in the Shanahan type system where you have a little mobile quarterback, one, two, three, easy reads, and pretty much just see what happens and you do that. Like a system quarterback that's mobile enough. You added him. If even if you say you moved on from Saquon Barkley, you know, they could have avoided this the year before because he basically got the same stuff he did right now. But if you kept him, and if he didn't move on, you want to get one. Singletary was not the answer to me. I mean,
Mm.
they found Tyrone Tracy Jr., who's really good. I actually think he's going to be a decent back, but basically a converted wide receiver threat. Really good. You have your offensive line's better, so I see the pieces they have. At the very least, at the very worst, they should have been at least 6-10. The very worst 6 and 11. Sorry,
6 and
they
11,
should have been
yeah.
6 and 11. But with the right coaching, you put say Vrabel on there, which I doubt he's going to the Giants. I think he's going to college
I
level.
think that would be a perfect fit for him. I got to be honest with you. I think that'd be perfect. You know what? You just added another 2 minutes to the segment. Go ahead. I think that would be an awesome pick for him.
See, I think he's going to Ohio State. If Ryan Day bombs out, I've seen that. I've seen a couple things. I heard a couple things. If he bombs out tomorrow, especially you can't keep losing to Michigan. You can't in Ohio State. You can't.
Can't keep
And
losing
I
Michigan, dog.
really
Can't keep doing it, dog.
can't keep losing. You can have a 10. You can go to the playoff. You can have everything else. It is 12 team thing. You can be a 7 seed, whatever. If you lose in the first round and you lose to Michigan, nah, no, consistently. You can lose once every once in a while. They won't like it, but you keep losing to Michigan. Nah, you're gone. So I think Vrabel
Put that
goes
on a
there.
t-shirt. You put that on a t-shirt. Can't keep losing to Michigan, dog. It's
Yeah,
words to
that's
live by.
perfect. Actually, you make a lot of money in Ohio. I'll tell you that. You'll make a
I,
lot. But I look
I,
at that and I'd say it's bad. It's yeah. Who wants to go there too? I mean, you will have the top two pick if you don't win
mhm.
tomorrow. You'll have a top two pick. You have neighbors. You have some cap room. You go like the field route to fill them in. But other than it, it's not as attractive. But because you had to deal with the New York media, you deal with everything else. It's not as attractive as a job. So I don't know if he goes there.
Well, to me, all right, so we had a major coach leave college and go to the NFL in Harbaugh. Goes to he will only take one job, the Chargers, because of Justin Herbert. I believe that I would prefer to pick my quarterback versus having one that's already there. I think head coaches are fairly or unfairly aligned with the quarterback that they select. And if you want to be a Hall of Fame coach, you have to select a Hall of Fame quarterback, or at least a player that you can develop into a Hall of Fame player. Andy Reid was a really good coach with Donovan McNabb, who's a really good player. Donovan McNabb, I believe, is a Hall of Famer. Andy Reid's a Hall of Famer. Andy Reid is now arguably the greatest coach in NFL history with one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. They flipped the coin. Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick in Cleveland. But he goes on. He gets a guy named Tom Brady, and now he's arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time. Conversely, Sean Payton was an offensive coordinator like Crozier from Any Given Sunday. Really guy, Bill Parcells' shadow. He gets Drew Brees, and now he's one of the best offensive innovative minds ever. So the point I'm trying to make is this. I would rather, if I'm Mike, if I'm Vrabel, I'm looking at Ohio State like, it's college, it's great. But I'm an NFL. I'm a Super Bowl winner. And I can go to New York, and I had never even thought of that. But I can go to New York. My first year in the draft, we'll have. I mean, the teams picking in front of us are the Raiders. I mean, let me know when the Raiders make a good draft pick. Like even if they finish the same record and they're tied, the Raiders will be in front of them. But I got the list in front of me: just Carolina and New England and possibly Tennessee. So those will be the teams that'll be picking in the same. So you can say, okay, they're going to screw their draft pick up. They're going to screw their draft pick. We can believe that. So even
Mm,
if who do you? Okay, well, it's a story for another day. I'm going to
yeah.
stay in my point, but I trust the Raiders to do the Raiders. I trust I, I trust Carolina to be Carolina out there. I, whether they draft the guy and can develop him, or whether the guy they draft is undevelopable, unable to be developed. Either way, the story ends the same. New York has a culture about it. They have a history about it of explosive players, greatest players in the game, exciting players. You're variable, you're walking into that. And your first pick can be alignment. It can be, you can solidify your tackle position for the next 10 years. And then maybe find your quarterback in the second and third round. And now you're going into, you mentioned New York media. Well, the New York media ain't beating down your door if they don't have expectations, because we still got the Jets down the hall. So, we still you want to talk about a dumpster fire. You want to talk about a ship that done sunk. You still got the Jets down the hall. So if I'm variable, I'm looking at it like Ohio State be damned. I got a blank slate here. And I got nobody checking for us. No one believes the Giants will be good anytime soon. You go into that draft, you're up on the draft before I am. I'm sure there's a defensive lineman, offensive lineman that could be the cornerstone of your franchise for the next 10 years that'll be available in the top 5 picks. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that is.
And there's no like blue chip, gotta take him 5-star Maserati quarterback coming out. I don't care what they're talking about Shador. There's none. So you can wait and get your Drew Brees in the second round. You can wait and get your Jordan Love later in the first. Like you can wait and get your guy. I think that's an attractive job, Chris. I disagree with you. I think it's a very attractive job. You win 10 games in New York, you're a god. You win 10 games in New York, you're a god. You go to Ohio State, can't lose to Michigan, dog. You win 12 games and lose to Michigan, you're a dog. Like no one wants you. No one wants your kind here. So I disagree with you there. We got to move on. You mentioned the Vikings and um, quarterback from the Giants going to the Vikings. Can you name the three NFC? Well, now you can because I just kind of gave it away. But can you name the three teams in the NFC is that are 12-2?
Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but we only hear about two of those teams. We
Mm,
never hear about the Vikings. Initially, I'll put the Vikings in the same breath with the Los Angeles Rams. And can these two, how far can these two teams go? But now, I didn't say now, but upon further review, I'm doing the Vikings a disservice. It's a 12-2 football team. This is a damn good football team with a damn good defense. Brian Flores has got this defense. I mean, they have baffled some of the game's more anointed stars. How far can the Minnesota Vikings go?
they need to win the North because if they
Hmm.
go as the 5 seed and it winds up being that if with
Hmm.
tiebreakers, what have you, I still look at the Buccaneers. It depends on if they play the Buccaneers and the Rams. I'm looking at either one of those two because I look at the Rams. I know, but I look at it's the Brian Flores defense is really good, and I have more confidence in that defense than Sam Darnold in a playoff situation on the road out that dome and playing against either the Buccaneers or the Rams. I just do because I think you're going to have an ill-time turnover because a lot of these games, some of these throws he's getting away with, they would be picked against really good defenses. And when you look at that division itself, they played twice. The Lions defense is nothing to write home about. Their pass defense was ranked this isn't ranking out in the low 20s when it comes to it.
The
You
Lions
look
are
at the
definitely falling apart.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Lions are fall apart. The Packers have arguably, I think the Packers are a better defense than the Lions do.
Mm.
And you look at you look at the Buccaneers. I trust Todd Bowles to come over the game plan to limit Sam Darnold. The Rams, yeah, you got to ran. The Rams defense that one too. Yeah, the Rams defense is not as good as those things. But I look at the offense that can really attack them. I think Sean McVay against that type of defensive style with Matthew Stafford, Nakua, and Cup. And the key thing you have to say is if they're healthy, because you never know. I think they can beat them. I really do.
Really? Okay, I it's like I'm going to contradict myself, but I'm going to make the point anyway. I believe the Vikings can go to the second round of the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the North. I think Detroit, the North in general, is full of a bunch of 5'8" middle schoolers. So, you know, what does that? What does that mean? I've been 5'8", 5'9" since seventh grade. We're going from being the tallest guy in the room to now the average height guy. But and say, well, what the hell does that mean? The point is, I peaked too early. And
What?
when you peak too early, you look great in seventh and eighth grade, but when you get to high school and college, it's like, dude, what happened? You used to be the tallest guy in the room. Now now you're in the front holding the sign for people for the pictures. So that's the that's the Vikings, that's the Lions. So, but I believe both teams can make it to the second round of the playoffs. My thing with the Vikings though is Tampa Bay and the Rams don't scare you with home field advantage. Yeah, they're playing outside, but dog, it's Florida. It's like it's humid. It's not you're not playing in inclement weather, you're playing in humidity. And while it's Minnesota, you go down early, your body can adjust to that humidity. You know what it can adjust to? 5 degrees in Philly, 5 degrees in Green Bay. Those are issues. 72 degrees with 60% humidity, you'd be all right. You're good. And in LA, it's LA. Like the worst thing they'll have is a hard time parking driving into the stadium. Other than that, they'll be okay. So I like the Vikings. I like where they line up. I don't think they should try to win the division because I don't think not try, but I don't think it benefits them more than any other team. I feel like they would be positioned to go into Tampa has some sort of voodoo mix on Philly. The Lions, like I said, they're more likely. Tampa beat Detroit earlier this year. They're more likely if they fall out to lose in the first round than I believe the Vikings are. The Vikings defense is legit. And the one thing about the Vikings that I like, the one thing that I've enjoyed watching them play, they get luck. And as much as I don't believe in luck, they take advantage. They're prepared to take advantage of opportunities presented to them, which often is confused as luck. That's what I like about the Vikings. So I believe the ceiling is the NFC title game, which if I'm an Eagles, if I for all my fellow Eagle fans, that's a good thing because if the Vikings are there, we're usually there. So, so we'll take that. If you're a Vikings fan, you should be happy with that going into the season because you thought JJ McCarthy was going to be your quarterback, and you were looking at it. You were staring at a 6-11 season, hoping for that. Now you're playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But we've disagreed on two things. I really like the way the Vikings are laying out, and again, they've taken advantage. They're prepared to take advantage of the opportunities in front of them. There are three teams in the NFC that are 12-2, not two. And one of those teams are the Minnesota Vikings. I really like the Vikings. I really like the way it's laying out for them. What's say? I'll give you the last word on the segment.
I just look up the playoff potential playoff matchups.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams and the Vikings, and even if they do win that game, if they go on the road and beat them, they're probably going to Philly because I really think the Packers beat the Bucks. I'm bullish on the Packers. I'm
A lot
bullish
of
on them.
people are bullish on the Packers because they looked the part. Let me just say this: we stay away from if the playoffs started today world, but we'll indulge for a moment. Having to go to Philly is unappealing for the Vikings, but Philly's going to the Super Bowl. So regardless of where you lay, you're going to have to go to Philly. With that said, I don't believe the Packers are going to win a playoff game. I think that a lot of people have elevated them and kind of poo-pooed the other teams, but the Vikings and the Lions have consistently beaten good teams. Now they've lost to two good, but in 12 of their wins, I can't go through the roster, the wins in front of me. They've beaten good teams. Packers haven't done that. The Packers have been much like the Ravens. So I'm going off their body of work this year. I haven't been convinced with what I've seen of Jordan Love's coming back from the injury. Ooh, I hear everything you're saying, but let's say it all shakes out and the Packers lose to Tampa, right? Now who's going to Philly and where are the Vikings headed?
Yep.
Just it just got interesting. Just got interesting. So, like I told you, if you're an Eagles fan like me, you're excited to see the Vikings because that's usually the way. Now, quickly, I want to get to a topic that has piqued my interest. Start of the year, we picked the Atlanta Falcons. Vegas and ESPN bets had them winning nine, I think 9.5 games. And I said, not so fast, quote the great philosopher Lee Corso. I believe they were more of a 7 to 8 win team. Went on record, got killed, got crushed. You can tell everybody where their record is right now because I'm not a I told you so guy. But the reason why their record is where it is because Kirk Cousins is done. And I'm supposed to ask you, is Kirk Cousins done? But I believe he's done. So before I journey into my next point, do you believe Kirk Cousins is done?
I don't think so. That man's got a great agent. He keeps
Oh,
getting
okay.
paid.
No, all right.
He keeps getting
Is
him
he
paid.
done being a productive NFL quarterback? Is he done getting
I don't
paid?
think
No.
so.
But you don't think so. Okay.
I saw there was a good. I apologize because I don't remember who put the stat out there. It might have been Mike Tanier or maybe somebody else. This has been a way different offense that he's run in terms of when you look at play action and motion. Play action, I think it's like run like 7% of play action, what have you. And he need when you look at with his success, he's got they utilize the play action a lot more. Bijan Robinson's a good running back, but they seem not to use it a lot with that play action with him, which is weird. You look at the motion, they don't use as much motion as beforehand. Put them in there, and you look previously, they do that. Because pretty much facts I can walk up and go, it feels like the Eagles last year. It's like, wow, we know where the ball's going. They're set declaring themselves already. Go there. Now I'm not gonna lie. Kirk has made some really bad interception turnovers. Real egregious. Very like you stare a guy down and you still throw that way and you pretty much throw it right into his arms. Yeah, that was just bad. Coles don't want that contract. Coles don't want you representing him if you're doing something like that. No, he deserves to get that one. So, but I still think he's got one more shot left. And given, I think he's still gonna be productive. Does I think he's gonna be like the Pro Bowl one we saw? No. I still think he'd be more productive because heck, we see Aaron Rodgers still out there.
Oh,
I think he's
stop
more
it.
productive in that one too.
Big
He's
Aaron
more
Rodgers.
productive than Aaron Rodgers. He's more productive than him. And
Well,
it's to the
that's
point where I'm like, well, yeah, that's like grass is green. The
yeah.
sky is blue for the most part. Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's one of the things where you look at it and go, you know what? Somebody's going to need a quarterback next year. We had talked about the draft class is not that great. I think Russ returns to the Steelers. So you got Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, and pretty much a big gap. And Kirk Cousins all of a sudden being available on the cheap because he's got the guaranteed money and a great
Yeah.
agent. I don't know how he gets the money to pay that way, but
Because
yes.
he was at one point, Kirk Cousins at one point was a good starting NFL quarterback. He was not a bad quarterback. Like, no, he wasn't going to win a Super Bowl. Everybody can't be Patrick Mahomes. Everybody can't be, you know what I mean? But if you're telling me the Vikings, or excuse me, if you're telling me the 49ers don't reach the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, I'm calling you crazy. And Kirk Cousins is a quality quarterback. He's coming off a lower extremity injury in a league where footwork matters, in a league where foot placement matters, in a league where 1 second can mean the difference between a touchdown and an interception. Paul, stop. What's he had a problem with this year? Interceptions. Hmm. He's a second off. Why is he a second off? Our bodies don't move the same when we get low extremity injuries and we're older. Your body's different. You feel different. You think different. You move different. Cousins is done, bro. He's done. Now, will he get another job? For another day. I hope he will. I hope everybody gets their money. I'm rooting for people to get their money. Raise that cap. Make that money. But whoever drafted Michael Penix Jr. is sitting in the back of the room like this. I'll wait. I'll
I
wait.
know.
Because exactly. I'll wait.
I know.
Because the person that they took, oh my, they took so much gruff for taking that pick. And now it's like it's only money. They can get rid of Cousins because it's only money. Penix is on a rookie deal. It's only money. And you add that youth, that athleticism behind there now, it may not translate. You know what it'll remind me of? Talk about expectations. There was a guy in the Northeast corridor that got thrown to the Wolves for a team that was a playoff team. And he went into San Diego and he couldn't even complete a pass. He was just running around like a crazy wild guy. Fast forward, that guy is now a two-time MVP and one of the most potent quarterbacks, not just players, but potent quarterbacks in the game. What I'm talking about is Lamar Jackson. When he started for the Ravens, it was, I want to say, midseason. They went to him. They were headed to the playoffs. He looked awful. He looked all over the place. But that experience allowed him to go on a trajectory to be one of the most, to be an elite player. If Penix has the talent that people believe he does, and if he's got the football acumen that people believe he does, now is the time. Because you're probably going to make the playoffs. It's an outside shot. I know the South will probably only get one, but the Commanders seem to be reeling. They're only rough. They're only real quick math. Yeah, they're only one behind the Seahawks and right behind the Rams. So there's an outside shot that you can still make it and compete, but stakes are high. So you want to see what this young kid's got. And he ain't young. You know what I mean? He's paying bills already. So we can give him a shot, sink or swim. I but Kirk Cousins is over. It's over. And Atlanta got the most out of that juice. They got the most out of that orange. Whoever gets him after this, they're gonna be disappointed. Maybe New England takes a shot because they've got Drake May and add Cousins as a backup. But as far as him being a starting quarterback in the NFL, again, when you get old and when you're dealing with injuries, you think different, you move different, you process things different. Your body ain't the same. You're a step off. And in a league where 1 second can be the difference between a touchdown and interception, a guy that wasn't really an interception machine, the guy that was known as Captain Checkdown, is now known as Captain Turnover. Just saying. So the math is mathing. It's telling you what you're seeing. Believe your eyes. Normally we would do picks here. We got about a minute and a half. So just give me one game, one team that you're watching. One team you think is going to win in a surprise.
A surprise. I'm gonna have
But
to
just give me the
say,
one game you're certain about.
oh, I'm certain I'm taking the you know what? I think the Giants. I think the Giants cover, not win outright. I think they cover
What's the line
because
for the
they
Giants?
4.5.
Okay. And who they
That
playing?
is either that. I was the Falcons. I think they
Okay.
cover because they got a rookie thrown in that situation. The other one I was thinking of was like maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What they were getting, the Cowboys are favored 4.5. I'm like, wait, what? Like
Does
how?
Tampa have
I
his
don't see that.
receivers back yet?
I know it's is Evans still? I think Evans is still available,
I have
right? Is
no
he out?
idea.
I don't
I
know
have no
because
idea. I'm not gonna hold you. I would have to look it up. I like the Giants pick a lot. I'm staying away from Tampa, and I got less than a minute. So that's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you like the podcast, make sure you share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. He's Chris Franklin. I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. Until next time, we appreciate your time and year. You be easy.